Okay, if you think all markets are created equal, you are wrong. We have two markets going on and we're going to talk about them today. Hi there, I'm Dean Odell with Seven Gables Real Estate and the Odell Group. Today is December 15th and it is time for another Tustin Talks. We're going to start with the Orange County stats today and then we are going to move to Tustin stats. So let's get started. Okay, so starting with the active listing inventory chart, let's look at where we are today. 2,180 homes. 2 weeks ago, we were at 2,309. Last year, 3,182. And look at the 3-year average prior to that, 4,988 homes prior to COVID. If we look at the lines there on the graph, we are the blue line this year. And you can see we've started going down, which is normal for the season. But look at our incline versus other years over that same time period. If you look at where we made that break to finally start going down, look at the angle. We're not as steep of an angle, and we're going to talk about that. But first, let's go to our next chart. Orange County demand year over year. So where are we today? 1,113 homes. 2 weeks ago, we were at 1,173. Last year, 1,133. Pretty darn close, right, to the numbers we have now. Then if you look prior to COVID, the 3-year average was 1,774. So percentage-wise, that was a lot more homes. But let's not forget that inventory also was a lot higher, right? It was 4,988, so almost 5,000 homes. So you can see percentage-wise, a lot of the listings are still selling. So let's go to the next chart. Orange County expected marketing time. Well, today it is exactly the same as it was 2 weeks ago and still faster than last year. So we actually have a faster moving market than last year. And it's funny because when I talk to people out there, a lot of people think the market's bad compared to last year. It is not bad compared to last year. Our problem is inventory, okay? Not so much demand. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too at the end when I give my buyer and seller advice. So stay tuned here. Now, the 3-year average, 87 days of expected marketing time. Obviously, that's not where we are. We're at 59 days. Looking at the next chart, this is the Orange County breakdown of expected marketing time by price range. And this is really important because you need to know what your price range is doing. And this is where in the beginning of this video, I said we really have two markets going on. Notice what's happening all the way up to $1.5 million. It's a hot seller's market. And then between $1.5 million to $2 million, it's a slight seller's market. And then the buyer's market is starting at $2 million. So interestingly enough, that's also what we designate as the break for luxury homes. That's the price point that we say, hey, anything over $2 million is considered a luxury home in Orange County. So look at those days on the market time now, still faster than last year, but it is changing in that upper end. And we'll show you that and talk about it in the next couple of slides. So looking at this next chart, this is a special chart we have just to illustrate the luxury market, okay? Look at the price range 0 to 2 million and look at the difference of what it's done since April of 2023. The time that homes are expected to be on the market has increased by 16 days. But if you look at the over $2 million market, that has increased by 67 days. You can see that overall what's happening is the higher end is taking longer and longer to sell. That is most likely due to interest rates. It's also due to the fact that many of those people are move-up buyers, don't want to leave their existing mortgage. So let's move to the next slide and we're going to see what the Tustin data shows with regards to this differential between the higher end and, I don't want to say the lower end, but under 2 million, right? Okay, so now let's look at the Tustin data. This is November 2023 versus November 2022. Let's look at the different zip codes and how they compare. The 92705, 92780, and 92782 zip codes. Well, one thing they all have in common, you can see across the board there, is they are all down a lot on inventory, right? If you go to the new listings, which is everything that just came up in the last 30 days, you can also see that those are down. So, of course, the new listings contribute to the homes for sale, and they are also partly part of the pendings, right? You know, if they sell right away, which usually we see the well-priced homes sell right away. If you go down to the solds, you can see that the solds are down, but you would expect them to be down because there's less inventory to choose from, right? Well, look at the 92705 zip code. That is our most expensive zip code. And if you look at that, it is down. Where if you look at the other ones, they are still up. up. Their closings are up, where North Tustin 92705 is down. And that again illustrates this divide in the market between the under $2 million and over $2 million price range. Looking at pendings, all three zip codes actually are down. But you look at how that relates to the new listing inventory and the for sale inventory, and you could see why they would be down, right? You take 92782, for example, it is down almost 42%. Well, the homes for sale are down 48% practically, right? So you can kind of see how those relate. Now, if you move to the active listing price, again, you can see how 92705 has the highest active listing price as an average at 2.15 million. Last year, it was at 1.66 million. Well, we all know that prices didn't go up that much over the year, right? In fact, the prices are almost identical to last year. So if we look at the 92780, for example, their average price active has actually gone down. And when you look at their numbers of the solds are up, right? 14.3%. And if you look at the 92782, it has stayed pretty consistent. So again, their average active price, it's only up a little bit, but then when you look at the solds, it's also way up, right? So again, these are the lower price points for these three zip codes, and you can see how they're selling strong. If you move to the next one, the average sold price, you can also see how those compare. And you can see in Tustin 92780, the average sales price has, it's not as high, right? Because 92780 doesn't have as many higher priced homes as the 92782 or the 92705. But when you look at both 92782 and 92705, what you'll notice is lower priced homes are selling versus last year. Now, does that mean we had a big drop in prices? Not really. It just means people are opting to buy lower priced homes in these zip codes because the interest rate cost is so much higher, right? The cost of ownership. So now if we go down to the final list price versus sold price and the original list price versus sold price, you can see how those compare. You can see how they're actually up. People, when they saw good houses come up, everybody's fighting over the same houses. And you can also see on the days in the market how that is down. So right now it's time for my buyer and seller advice. And I'm going to demonstrate with one of our listings how all this jives, okay? How all this comes together. Okay, for some of you who tuned in before, I was telling a little story 2 weeks ago about a house that we had in Anaheim Hills. And I said, we're going to see how all that plays out, right? And one of the things I've said consistently on this show is that we really can't measure true demand without actually having more inventory. And so we know inventory has been a problem, but just to give you a demonstration of demand, in the month of December, we purposely priced a home very aggressive because the seller had already moved out of the property. It was vacant. It was a very nice house. The comps were 1.3 million. We didn't know whether or not to price it much higher because we didn't have the comps. So we figured, hey, you know what? Let's just put it 50 grand higher. The buyers are out there and they will take the property to its current market value. Okay. Now remember, this is the month of December. We knew we could have priced this property as much as $100,000 higher. But the seller trusted the process that we have for selling homes. And even though it was purposely underpriced, we knew it would get bid up. So when you have multiple bids, you get the chance to figure out who's going to be that best buyer if someone's going to go way over appraisal value, right? Here's what the results were. We had 28 offers on the property. Now, this is the month of December, you guys, 28. 12 of those were all cash. And these are not investor flippers because this is a property that's ready to go. So nobody's trying to flip this property. These are buyers that want to live in a house. And they obviously like this house because there wasn't too much money to spend, once you bought it. So very, very desirable, but also very surprising even to us that there was that kind of demand. And this property, it's going to settle in the 1.5s, okay? So you can see how the market can bid things up. And I tell my sellers all the time, if you trust our process, you don't have to worry about whether the property was underpriced or not. Now, we knew we were being super aggressive on this one. That is not a normal listing. But every once in a while, the seller's worried about a couple of percent that we could be off. They're maybe a couple of percent higher than we are, this, that. We always say the market never lies. And this, again, demonstrates how much demand there is out there But again, this was an under $2 million price point, right? And today we demonstrated and showed you how the over $2 million price point is a little bit different. We know those take longer to sell, but this property, again, high demand. So buyers, that is probably not a very encouraging story for you, I know, okay? And I say the same thing to you guys in this kind of market every week, and that is, do not have the fear of missing out. Something will change. It's not going to stay like this forever. And then sellers, I have so many sellers that have called and they think this is a bad time to sell a house. This is not a bad time to sell a house. And I'm not talking about just the month of December. They just think it was better last year or the year before. There was more demand, there was more craziness. Well, this goes to show you there's still a lot of demand out there. And it's really important how you prep the house and how it's marketed. And we have a certain way of doing that ensures you're going to get top dollar, okay? Another thing that we have done more of probably this year than we normally do is there's just a lot of sellers, and we know you guys are out there. You just don't want to deal with the market. You don't want a bunch of people coming through your house. You guys have got so much equity in the property. You're not even concerned about whether you're getting absolute top dollar. You're more concerned about, a hassle-free, easy transaction. Well, we have an entire buyer team, right? We've got 6 agents on this team that can sell your house. And trust me, we have a lot of buyers too. So we've had a lot of sellers call us and ask us to show their house off market. And again, that is not the way to get top dollar, in my opinion. But if that's the type of seller you are, please give us a call. Or if you're a regular type of seller and you do want to get top dollar and know you got it, give us a call so we can talk about getting your house prepped. One thing I do know is I think there's going to be more sellers next year. I really, really do. We've got interest rates dropping right now, so that's making people more likely to move if it continues. And they're talking about maybe a little recession, right, going into next year. We do know it's going to be an election year, and election years, usually things don't completely fall apart in election years, but it may be kind of that last stretch of really good time to be a seller. Don't expect prices to go super high or way higher, but either way, prices are as high as they've ever been, and it's a great time to be you. All right. So that is all I got to say this week. I hope you guys all have a great Christmas. What is today? The 15th? Yeah, we won't be back until after Christmas and right around the New Year's. So we will see you guys on the next Tustin Talks. Enjoy your family and let us know how we can help you. Thanks. Bye-bye.